What's up, model airplane collectors? Welcome to a model review. It's your host, Ray. Today I'll be reviewing the Gemini Jet's American Airlines Boeing 777-300 extra range in 1 to 400 scale. This model was released in June of 2022. This review will consist of a short discussion of the box and then an analysis of the model's features. And at the end of the video, I'll give my personal opinion about what I think of the model and whether or not I recommend it to other collectors. So I'll start the review with the box. The box is 19.5 centimeters lengthwise, 19.5 centimeters tall, and about 5 centimeters wide. So it's the standard Gemini Jet's wide body box, and it's pretty justifiable compared to the model size, since the model is pretty large as well. So I'll show you guys around the box. It's the standard Gemini Jet's box, so there's really nothing too special about it. Here's the backside. Back here you can see the Gemini Jet's false guarantees, social medias, and fake licensing. Here's the underside of the flap on the box. Here you can see general information regarding the Boeing 777 family, as well as information on this specific aircraft. And here's the model itself. The fuselage length is 18.6 centimeters, the wingspan is 16.1 centimeters, and from the ground to the tip of the tail, it's 4.7 centimeters tall. Relatively large compared to most things, accurate to 1 to 400 scale, and all is good on that department. I'll show you guys around the model, I'll give you guys a quick 360, so sit back, relax, and enjoy, and apologies if my fingers get in the way of anything you're trying to look at. Before I start the analysis portion of the video, I'd like to take a moment to explain a little bit of history behind this model. So this model has been of particular interest to some collectors, myself included, for a very specific reason, and that reason is because this model is on the updated JC Wings mold instead of the older Gemini Jet's cradle mold that Gemini Jets usually uses for their 777-300s and their 200s as well. This one was made with the JC Wings mold. And the reason for that is because this one also has the flaps down option, which I do not have, so I will not be reviewing that one. But this is the first time Gemini Jets has done this with a US-based airline, so it was pretty interesting, and this should be pretty interesting to review and see how it is compared to the other mold. So we'll start the review at the front of the aircraft. Here you can see all sorts of things. The nose shape looks good, lots of printed detail, all of it looks fantastic. American Airlines logo looks fine. I noticed no problems up here in the front. You can see, I mentioned the nose shape. The nose shape looks pretty solid. Might be a little bit pointier than it should be, but that's a very slight nitpick and it's hard to notice, and I think it looks good. So if you know more about that, please comment down below. As we move down the fuselage, you can see more of the printed details, the doors, the windows. No complaints on that regard. Color on the model looks pretty decent. I don't think it's perfect, might be a little bit dark, but I'm not an expert on the color. But for me, it's within acceptable margins. Here's the left side of the vertical stabilizer. The printing and the colors on this look fabulous. At first, I thought these printed details here were stains, but they're actually supposed to be there. Very nicely done overall. I have no complaints on this part. Same goes for the other side. No complaints. Printed detail looks good. If anything, this blue color here might be a little bit light. Not sure though. My camera's showing it the right color, but just looks ever so slightly lighter than it should be. But it's still acceptable. And I'd also like to point out there's 3 little lumps here which caught me off guard. I thought these were paint issues. But no, these are supposed to be there. This is part of the 777's vertical stabilizer. I'll show you the right side of the fuselage. It's virtually the same as the left side. I will provide a little bit of commentary regarding the external features. The external features on this model are both antennas and Wi-Fi domes. There are 3 antennas on the top of the aircraft, 1, 2 here in the back. There is a printed Wi-Fi dome here, which is supposed to be 3D, but Gemini does not have the parts to do that, so it's not. There's also 2 little dots up here. And in the front portion of the aircraft, we have another large antenna and a interestingly painted Wi-Fi dome, which looks pretty good. The bottom of the aircraft does not have any antennas or other external features. Moving on to the wings of the aircraft, the wings look fabulous. There's a decent amount of printed detail on there, exit lines look nice. There's a lot of very nicely molded detail as well. No complaints on the wings. Something that I mentioned earlier was with the different molds. Since this is the JC Wings mold, the wings are attached directly to the fuselage instead of through a cradle, which looks really good. The joint here looks amazing, and the JC Wings mold for the 777 is just really good in general, so this is very well reflected in this model. Here's the bottom side of the wing, as per usual. Not as much, or there's no printed detail, but there is a decent amount of molded detail. Looks good. Here you can see a few paint stains. I'm not sure what happened here, but I am able to scratch them off with relative ease, so I won't complain about that too much. Here's a better look at those paint scratches. Those aren't paint scratches, they're just excess paint that I was able to scratch off with a fingernail. Let's discuss the engines. The engines look pretty good. No complaints on there. The exhausts look really nice. Lots of printed detail on the surface of the engines. Fan blades look fabulous. They look pretty cool. Unfortunately, they do not spin, but either way, they still look nice regardless. Here's a better look at the underside of the engine so you can see some of the printed detail. I did notice this on the right engine, that there is some inconsistencies with the paint on the engine. Here you can see a few darker portions, which I'm not sure what that is. There's also a dark splotch here. Might have been issues with the paint going onto the engine. Hard to notice at first, but it is noticeable once you do notice it. You can see it relatively easily. Moving to the rear of the aircraft again, here you can see the horizontal stabilizers and the vertical stabilizer again. Horizontal stabilizers look good, the wing flex on them looks good. We will analyze the wing flex later in the video. No complaints on these. And the auxiliary power unit here, that looks absolutely fantastic. Really well done on Gemini Jets and JC Wings part right there. Decently detailed. I do notice printed detail on it, or that's not printed, I'm sorry, that's just painted. But it looks really good regardless. Here's a look from the right side of the aircraft if you wanted to see that. Alright, so here's the bottom of the aircraft. Down here you can see not that much printed detail. You can't see very much here, which that's not a problem at all. You do see the Gemini Jets logo right here. It's relatively small, so that's nice that they didn't make it too large. I have no complaints down here except for this little red patch of paint here in front of this display stand hole. I think that's supposed to be a red circle for a light, but it is more of a splotch instead of a circular thing. So here, try and take, there it is. You can kind of see that there. I'm not sure exactly what that is or what happened. You can also just barely see the cargo bay doors or the cargo hold doors. The reason you can barely see them is because they match, the gray printing on these matches really well with the fuselage, so it is hard to recognize without looking very closely, or you might need glasses depending on your vision. Landing gear in this model also looks really nice, and it's the quality control on this was actually pretty decent. The nose gear is a little bit upsetting since it is made of, I think it is made out of plastic. I'm not entirely sure. But that's not the reason why it's mainly upsetting. The wheel does roll really nicely, it's smooth, but something I did notice with the nose gear, it is bent a little bit towards the right of the aircraft or the left side of your screen, so that was a little bit irritating. But aside from that, it's not very much, so I won't complain too much either. The main landing gear, on the other hand, those are made really nicely. You can see the wheels roll very smoothly. The wheels do pivot nicely. No complaints on these. They're very highly detailed, and I'm overall impressed with it. Here's a view from the front of the aircraft so we can observe the gear balance and the wing flex. The wing flex looks really good for both the main wings and the horizontal stabilizers. The gear balance looks okay, however, I did notice on the cockpit window printing it is kind of bent towards the right side of the aircraft or the left side of your screen. That's something I barely noticed, so hard to see at different angles, but you can see it when you are looking at it from the front of the aircraft. And that concludes the review. Now time for my personal opinion and recommendation. It's a pretty solid model compared to what else Gemini has been releasing. It's really nice. Quality control defects, as far as it goes, I don't see very many, and the ones that do exist aren't exactly major. So I recommend this model to any other collector. If you want to get it, go for it. It's still really nice. It's on a very nice mold, and it's well worth your buy overall. Well, that concludes the video. Thanks so much for watching. Stay tuned for more airplane content. Like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you guys in my next video.